What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So, I'm continuing on the road to Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm reviewing all the Fox's X-Men movies leading up to that film that's going to be hitting in theaters on July 26th. I finished wrapping my review of the first X-Men movie. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. So, now I'm on to reviewing the sequel, which is called X2 X-Men United, and it came out in 2003, and we got the returning director Bryan Singer. Now, I'm putting aside the controversy and I'm just judging him as a filmmaker and his vision and his direction. So we follow up with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, when now he's slowly trying to remember about his past, and now that the humans and mutants are at war with one another, and it's led by William Stryker, who is trying to round up a bunch of mutants. And now Magneto, the Brotherhood, and the X-Men are going to have to band together to stop what William Stryker is planning on doing with the mutants. I thought that this movie is far better than the first one. Even though I love the first movie, this movie exceeded my expectations. You had an incredible character development. It's much more improvement. The production value, the fight scenes, the choreography, and the performances, it's just felt like it got far better. And it's one of the sequels that truly surpassed the original. This is becoming a little bit more of a Wolverine-centric story now that we're starting to see some of his memories starting to pop up in his mind, and especially when he crossed paths with William Stryker, played by Brian Cox, the man who's responsible for putting the adamantium in his bones, and he was responsible for the Weapon X program. And the fight scenes, wow, there's a lot more in action in this movie than it did in the first one. Yeah, it does still have a lot more character development and still had a lot of the political aspects of the movie, but I love that how they added a lot more action fight scenes, especially the fight scenes that Wolverine started to taking out a bunch of Stryker's men in the school. Oh my God, that fight scene was so cool. He just murdered a lot of those people. Imagine this movie being R-rated. This movie is a little bit more hard PG-13, and this is not a film that is going to always be made for kids. This is more of an adult-driven movie. And the opening of the movie, when we meet up with Nightcrawler, taking out a bunch of Secret Services at the White House and try to attack the president. Oh my God. That scene itself, and the effects, the action was in the fight scenes and the camera work, that the way that they choreographed it was one of the best openings that we've seen in any comic book movie. I love that we got a Nightcrawler who is a new addition to the X-Men. And in case you're wondering why did he attack the president in the first place, well, we find out later in the movie that William Stryker was the one that was arranged the attack on the president in order to get the president's permission to round up a bunch of mutants and letting them know that they're dangerous and that there's a war coming, and that's where it all starts. But throughout the whole film, you get a little bit more of the backstory of William Stryker and why he hates the mutants so much, because his son Jason, who's had the power to create an illusion and get inside your mind and messing with you, he was responsible for killing his mom. And now that you see why he really wants to take out on all the mutants anywhere on the planet. And his plan is to build Cerebro, which most of you already know by now. When you saw the Cerebro in the last movie, Cerebro is literally a machine that Charles uses his telepathic powers to find and communicate and locate anyone on the planet, whether it's humans or mutants. And his goal is to, using his own son Jason, who is now brain dead, who is now in full of William Stryker's control, and brainwashing Charles Xavier into concentrate on all the mutants and killing every last one of them on the planet. Because even when Charles Xavier said to Wolverine in the sequence of the Cerebro that if he concentrated hard enough, he can kill them all if he wanted to. That's crazy. That's how dangerous Charles Xavier can be, because he is literally their weapons of mass destruction. I thought Patrick Stewart's performance really improved, especially in the scene where he's being tricked by Jason, when he's now standing on his 2 feet for the first time and he is in tears, and he snapped out of it for a moment because he knows that Jason has got into his head. Oh my God. Then throughout the film, we started to see that Jean Grey is now not in full control of her own powers, and there's something off about her, and there may be something wrong with her, and she get the sense that there's something bad is about to happen. My biggest disappointment in this movie, as much as I love this film, I was a little disappointed of how they treated Cyclops in the film. He gets captured by Deathstrike, who is William Stryker's henchman, and he disappears throughout the whole movie, and they completely sidelined him, and you don't see him show up until the third act. I love that we get a little bit more development of Bobby Drake's character, played by Shawn Ashmore, who is Iceman, and even though and he didn't really have a lot of screen time in the last movie, but we get a little bit more of his backstory about his family. That his family has no idea that his school is for the gifted of mutants. They think that it's just a prep school. He's not. They have no idea that he is a mutant as well. And then when we finally meet up with his parents, when he's finally coming out that he is a mutant, they don't know how to process it. Because when they see mutants, they see them as dangerous mutants, what they've been told in the media. Um, I mean, it does remind us that if a son or a daughter comes out as gay to their parents, they don't know how to process it. That's kind of what Bryan Singer was kind of leaning towards, that they're afraid that they're going to be discriminated, or they're going to be look at them differently. Oh man, that scene was so grounded and real and very relatable. We got a development of this new character named Pyro, which you may have seen Pyro in the last movie, but he only had a brief cameo, and they had a different actor, and they totally recast him. His character had a lot more development, and I thought his character was so good, but he was a character that is so impulsive and very arrogant, and he's very hot-headed, and he has the ability to create fire. And one of my favorite scenes with Pyro's character, that he sees a family photo of Bobby Drake and his parents, and you see the reflection of the camera work, and you really understand who he is and what he wants. He wants a family that can accept him for who he is, but he knows that will never happen. And you can see that by just reading the look on his face without any dialogue. And I thought that scene really hit hard. Especially there's a scene with Pyro where he just takes out a bunch of cop cars and a bunch of cops. And at the time when I watched it when it came out, I was like, did he just killed a bunch of cops in this movie? But then looking back on this adult, they did not die. They just got knocked on their asses. But those effects were very terrifying. It almost felt like a freaking horror movie if you really think about it. I love Nightcrawler's character. I love the addition that we get a little bit more development for him in the movie, and I love the actor who portrays it. And he has the ability to teleport, but he looks like a demon, and he's being very misunderstood. He doesn't believe in violence. He's very religious, and I thought his character was so good in the movie. Now, as we get into the third act finale, we see Wolverine is going into the facility at Stryker's Alkali Lake, his facility underground, where he was made in that lab. And you start to see the memories and all the scratch marks, and you start to see flashes from his past when he was breaking out of that facility. And you start to see the adamantium claws coming out of his knuckles, and how much there's almost blood all over him, and he's in so much excruciating pain. Oh my God, that scene felt so terrifying to watch. The way we saw the flashbacks, because he's slowly trying to remember about his past, and he is trying to get some unfinished business with William Stryker, the man who was responsible for the Weapon X program. And the fight scene when he fights Lady Deathstrike. Oh man, that was one of the best fight scenes I've seen in any comic book movie at the time. The way they did the camera work, the choreography, and how the camera and how the picture quality was so vibrant, and you could tell how much energy that they put it into that fight scene. It was so raw and intense. Dude, this movie could have been an R-rated, and how imagine that. It would have been so gory and graphic. Oh man. But I get that they had to down to PG-13 rating so that they can have young adults come in and see the movie in the theater. And it was just at the time that people were not ready to see an R-rated comic book movie. The stakes have got a little bit higher in the third act, and the tension started to rise. And I won't get into it too much in the finale. I'll talk about a little bit more about that in the next review of X-Men and Last Stand. But overall, this is definitely one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, and it's a movie that it deserves to be talked about. It still holds up to this day, and if you haven't seen it, you should. And if you want to see all the Fox's X-Men movies, you can definitely stream this on Disney Plus. It's available there to watch. I recommend it. The earlier X-Men movies were so damn good, and I loved it. So, what did you think of X2 X-Men United? Do you agree with me, or do you disagree with me? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you hit the like video if you like this video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button for more content. I appreciate you guys supporting my channel, and and make sure you turn on the bell notifications so you can see my upcoming videos. I'm very excited to get into more of Fox's X-Men universe. Sure, I'm going to get through some of the worst stuff. Of course, but you know what? It is what it is. So I appreciate you guys supporting my channel. I just reached 200. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers. I know it's a lot to ask, but I would really appreciate you guys hit that subscribe button. I'm very passionate film fan. I love talking about movies. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. I hope you guys stay safe and take care.